Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Anupama, Professor at Department of Economics, Punjabi University, Patiala. I am here talking on behalf of Dr. Falendra Kumar Sudan, Professor, Department of Economics, University of Jammu. I am going to talk about the module Urbanization, Greenhouse Gas Emissions and Climate Vulnerability from Demography of Climate Adaptation. So students, we are going to discuss mainly about the implications of different urban densities on the emission of greenhouse gases and its implications on global climate change. The climate change is caused by the emission of greenhouse gases, primarily from the combustion of fossil fuels. Greenhouse gas emitting activities are distributed unevenly across the world. About 20% of the world's population living in high-income countries account for 46.4% of global greenhouse gas emissions, and 80% of the world's population living in low and middle income countries, accounting for the remaining 53.6%. The United States and Canada alone account for 19.4% of global greenhouse gas emissions. South Asia accounts for 13.1% and Africa just 7.8% of global greenhouse gas emissions. In this context, it is important to assess the implications of different urban densities on the emission of greenhouse gases and the global climate change. The associations among the form, density, economy, and society within cities are explored to appraise whether particular spatial patterns can have a positive or negative effect on the emission of greenhouse gases and consequently on climate change. It is increasingly established that climate change impacts will be distributed disproportionately. High urban densities can both contribute to and reduce the vulnerability of human populations. If populations are concentrated in vulnerable locations without proper infrastructure or institutional frameworks, density can augment climate risks. However, if efficient means can be found for supporting dense populations in safe locations with suitable infrastructural and institutional frameworks, a feasible alternative to living on marginal and unsafe sites can be provided, particularly for the urban poor. Vulnerability is shaped by many aspects of demography, such as the gender and age composition of a population. High population densities increase exposure to the effects of climate change and vulnerability. At the same time, high population densities can reduce climate risks too. When managed efficiently, the increasing concentration of population in urban centers can lead to a reduction in climate vulnerability. And if managed poorly, it can lead to increased levels of climate risks for large sections of the urban population. These processes, however, do not take place in segregation and cannot be separated from broader demographic, economic, and social transformations. Therefore, the relations between climate change and urban density must be analyzed in a holistic manner to identify appropriate context-specific and policy-relevant recommendations. The analysis given the module will be helpful in strengthening capacity at the national and local levels to understand and deal effectively with urbanization in the face of the challenges posed by climate change. Approaching urban density. The urban density has tended to be severely polarized. The cities with low density are enabling greater individual freedom and provide spacious living. It is also considered as an extravagant and wasteful use of space and resources. The dense urban populations are considered to be indicative of squalor, poverty, and deprivation. The new urbanism is divergent to the growth patterns of suburban sprawl and restrictive residential enclaves. Low urban density is often linked with the process of suburbanization and is characterized as urban sprawl. There are 5 different systems for quantifying sprawl. These are growth rates, density, spatial geometry, accessibility, and aesthetic measures. Urban sprawl is frequently linked with range of social problems including social isolation and obesity, asthma and global warming, flooding and erosion, the demise of social farms, extinction of wildlife, and the unbalancing of future. On the other hand, several planners look sprawl as inevitable or safe. It maximizes the overall welfare of society as an outcome of free market decision making, provides easy access to open space, and results in lower crime rates. However, in several respects, the use of term sprawl has negative connotations. The related process of peri-urbanization is increasing in low and middle income countries. In the peri-urban interface, limits between the urban and the rural are renegotiated. These are characterized by transition zones. These interfaces are exaggerated by problems of urbanization, including intense pressures on resources, slum formation, lack of adequate services such as water and sanitation, poor planning, and degradation of farmland. They are particularly important in low and middle income countries where planning regulations may be weak or weakly enforced and thus result in areas with complex patterns of land tenure and land use. The peri-urban areas offer a range of activities and services for urban centers. They are usually beyond or between the legal and administrative boundaries of these cities. As a result, the process of urbanization can be unplanned and informal with recurrent struggles over land use. Urban density is simply quantified by dividing a given population by a given area. Globally, there is strong evidence that over the past 2 centuries, urban densities have been declining. A World Bank report provides the most detailed and compelling assessment of this phenomenon. This report used a method of measuring that density of the built-up area, which is defined through satellite imagery, rather than the administrative area of cities, and applied this to a total of 3,943 cities with populations greater than 1 lakh. The total population in these cities is 2.3 billion, out of which 1.7 billion is in developing countries and 0.6 billion is in developed countries. The report states that the average density of cities in developed countries was 2,835 people per square kilometer in 2000, declining from 3,545 people per square kilometer in 1990, with a yearly change of minus 2.2%. In developing countries, the urban population density was 8,050 people per square kilometer in 2000, declining from 9,560 people per square kilometer in 1990, with an annual change of minus 1.7%. These figures can otherwise be expressed as the average built-up area per person, that is 125 meters square in developing country cities and 355 square meters in developed country cities. This tendency of reduced urban densities is expected to continue into the future. It is projected that between 2000 and 2030, in developing countries, the total population of cities will double, while their built-up areas will triple from approximately 2 lakh square kilometer to approximately 6 lakh square kilometer. In developed countries, the urban population will increase by 20%, while their built-up areas will increase 2.5 times from approximately 2 lakh square kilometers to approximately 5 lakh square kilometers. The agglomerated figures for developed and developing countries provide regional variations significantly. So, this module aims to assess the implications of different urban densities on emission of greenhouse gases and its implications on global climate change. It aims to analyze the patterns of urban density and vulnerability and the interrelationship between the two. And this module also aims to draw policy implications for reducing climate vulnerability in the context of urbanization. Urban density and greenhouse gas emissions. There are a wide variety of implications of urban density on greenhouse gas emissions. The high concentrations of people and economic activities in urban areas can lead to economies of scale. This can have a positive impact on energy use and associated emissions. The nearness of homes and businesses can encourage walking, cycling, and the use of mass transport in place of private motor vehicles. Each doubling of average neighborhood densities is linked with a 20 to 40% decrease in per household vehicle use and a corresponding decline in emissions. For instance, the gasoline use per capita declines with urban density. By the middle of the present century, the combination of green buildings and smart growth could deliver the deeper reductions in emissions needed to mitigate climate change. The cities are responsible for 75% of global energy consumption and 80% of greenhouse gas emissions. The per capita greenhouse gas emissions for individual cities tend to generate smaller volume of carbon emissions than elsewhere in the same country. Indeed, New York City's per capita emissions are only 29.7% of those in the United States as a whole. The per capita emissions in London are just over half of the British average. In Rio de Janeiro are only 28% of those of Brazil as a whole, and those in Barcelona are only 33.9% of those in Spain as a whole. These comparatively low levels of emissions are shaped by a range of factors, including the density of buildings, the average dwelling unit size, and extent of public transportation. Most of these are associated directly to patterns of urban density. Thus, dense urban settlements can be seen to facilitate lifestyles that reduce per capita greenhouse gas emissions through the concentration of services that lessen the need to travel long distances, the improved provision of public transportation networks, and the limits on the size of residential dwellings imposed by the shortage and high cost of land. The Southeast Asian cities were almost 4 times as densely populated as European cities and almost 8 times as densely populated as those in other developed countries, including North America and Australasia. These figures can also be disaggregated by income levels. Cities in low-income countries are more than 4 times as densely populated as cities in high-income countries. In some, the average density of built-up areas in all cities of all regions is declining. However, this is a greatly uneven process. Larger cities exhibit higher densities than smaller cities. The density of any given urban area may be declining, but there are still areas of extremely high density with low-income residential areas. The relation between these patterns of urban density and the different aspects of climate change has been assessed in detail in the next discussion. Urban density and climate change vulnerability. The second important interrelationship between population density and climate change is in pattern of density and vulnerability. The densely populated urban areas, particularly in low and middle income countries, are especially vulnerable to the effects of climate change. There are dense concentrations of household and economic activities. The climate change has a major impact on urban economies, even when they affect only relatively small land areas. However, with the development of appropriate infrastructure, they are less likely to be influenced by climate change. In its fourth assessment report, 2007, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change stated unequivocally that the climate system of Earth has been warming over the last 50 years. The projections about future global average surface warming for the decade 2090 to 2099 relative to 1980 to 1999 range from 1.1 degree to 6.4 degrees Celsius, whilst sea level rise is predicted at 18 to 59 centimeter. The mean temperatures are expected to increase, mean precipitation is likely to fluctuate, and mean sea level will rise. The extreme rainfall events and tropical cyclones are expected to be more recurrent and intense, leading to more frequent flooding, both riverine and storm surge. Climate change is expected to exacerbate many of the risks faced by low-income urban residents. According to IPCC, poor communities can be especially vulnerable, in particular those concentrated in relatively high-risk areas. Urban areas in low and middle-income nations already accommodate a large proportion of the population and economic activities most at risk from climate change, including extreme weather events and sea level rise, and this proportion is increasing. The major impacts of climate change on urban areas, at least in the next few decades, are expected to increase the levels of risk from existing hazards. In case of poorer groups, these will include direct impacts such as more frequent and more hazardous floods, less direct impacts such as reduced availability of fresh water for many cities that may limit the supplies available to poorer groups, and the indirect impacts, such as the effects of climate change related weather events that increase food prices or damage poorer households' asset bases. Urban population density, climate change, and disasters. The densely concentrated urban populations can increase vulnerability to the disasters that are expected to become more frequent and more intense as a result of climate change. The economies, livelihoods, physical infrastructure, and social structures are all important components of urban systems. These are vulnerable to disasters and climate risk in different ways. In high-income nations, dense urban populations have web of institutions, infrastructure, services, and regulations that protect them from disasters, including extreme weather, floods, fires, and technological accidents. Many of the measures to protect against these climatic events involve services that also supply everyday needs, including healthcare services integrated with emergency services and sewer and drainage system that meet daily requirements but that can also cope with storms. Nearly everyone lives and works in buildings that have health and safety regulations and that are served by infrastructure designed to cope with extreme weather. The police, armed services, health services, and fire services, if or when required, provide early warning systems and ensure rapid emergency responses. Due to these services and safety regulations, extreme weather events seldom cause a large loss of life or serious injury. Although occasionally such events cause serious property damage, the emergency cost is reduced for most property owners by property insurance. As compared to this, only a very small proportion of urban centers in low and middle income nations have a comparable web of institutions, infrastructure services, and regulations. Although there are very large variations among such centers in the extent of provision and coverage, the proportion of the population in cities that live in large homes built according to appropriate building regulations vary greatly, as does the proportion of population living in homes sufficiently served by sanitation, wastewater removal, and storm drains. Still, cognizant strategies to increase urban density may or may not have a positive effect on greenhouse gas emissions and other environmental impacts. Many of the world's most densely populated cities in South, Central, and Southeast Asia suffer sternly from overcrowding. The declining urban density would address many wider social, environmental, and developmental needs. High urban densities can lead to localized climatic effects such as increased local temperatures. Further, a variety of vulnerabilities to climate change are exacerbated by density. The coastal location, exposure to the urban heat island effect, high levels of outdoor and indoor air pollution, and poor sanitation are linked with areas of high population density in cities of less developed country. Still, there are reasonable opportunities for simultaneously improving health and cutting greenhouse gas emissions through policies associated with transport systems, urban planning, building regulations, and household energy supply. Urban population density, climate change, and health. Human health is also expected to be adversely affected by climate change in urban areas. This is especially the case in the least developed countries, which already are experiencing a high burden of climate sensitive diseases. Much of these health risks are exacerbated in densely populated urban areas. Climate change will also affect human health through changes in vector-borne disease transmission, increased malnutrition due to declining food yields, and increases in diarrheal diseases from changes in water quality and water availability. There is a highly inequitable situation, as those who are at greater risk are also those who have contributed the least to greenhouse gas emissions. The climate change is expected to result in more frequent and intense heat waves. In urban areas, these are exacerbated by the urban heat island effect as a result of lower evaporative cooling and increased heat storage in roads and buildings, which can make temperatures 5 to 11 degrees centigrade warmer than in adjoining areas. Human health can be dramatically affected by heat waves. In August 2003, heat wave in Europe caused excess mortality of over 35,000 people. Heat waves can result in important harmful economic effects due to decreased productivity and the additional cost of climate control within buildings, as well as generating knock-on environmental effects such as air pollution and increased greenhouse gas emissions if these cooling requirements are met with electricity generated from fossil fuels. The effects of heat stress are disproportionately distributed within urban populations, among whom elderly persons are especially vulnerable. Due to climate change, densely populated urban areas may become increasingly vulnerable to vector-borne diseases. There are higher rates of person-to-person contact in dense urban settlements, which can spread infectious diseases more quickly. The fast and unplanned urbanization can produce breeding sites for mosquitoes. The high human population densities can provide a large pool of susceptible individuals. The higher temperature can cause an increase in high absolute humidity. The dengue fever and malaria are the diseases spread in this way. While climate change is expected to result in the expansion of malaria-carrying mosquitoes to some new locations, it is likely to cause the contraction of this range in other areas. The effects of climate change on human health in densely populated urban settlements are surmountable. The existing burden of climate-sensitive diseases is highest among the urban poor. However, it is not the rapid development, size, and density of cities that are the main determinants of vulnerability, but rather the increased populations living in hazard zones, floodplains, coastal hazard risk zones, and unstable hillsides. In future, good environmental and public health services should be able to cope with any increase in climate change related health risks, whether caused by heat waves or reduced freshwater availability or greater risks from communicable diseases. However, in order to provide these services, firm commitments to build the necessary infrastructure on the part of municipal and national governments, as well as on the mobilization of appropriate financial resources to facilitate this is required. Let us examine the policy implications. In low and middle income nations, Urban areas face a variety of challenges. In cities, perhaps the most striking tension is meeting the twin demands of generating urban economic growth and meeting the needs of low income urban dwellers. These issues are related to a variety of climate change challenges as well, especially with regard to ensuring that urban growth takes place in a climate friendly manner and that urban housing and infrastructure are climate proof. In order to solve these tensions, a deeper consideration of demographic issues and their implications for climate mitigation and adaptation can be helpful. Climate change impacts and adaptation have another set of effects on density. In low and middle income countries, the extremely high population densities contribute to environmental health problems and may concentrate risk in particularly vulnerable locations. And any potential sustainability gains from even greater densification are likely to be limited. Certainly, under these circumstances, the merits of urban densification postulated for developed country cities seem far less convincing in the context of developing countries. So, students, let us sum up what we have learned from this module. To sum up, it can be stated that the density is one among various important components affecting the ways in which urban areas will both affect and be affected by a changing climate. Adopting increasing densification as a strategy without assessing other factors like the distribution of employment opportunities and the nature of transportation systems is not likely to provide lasting sustainability or resilience benefits. Well planned, effectively managed, and densely settled towns and cities can be helpful in limiting greenhouse gas emissions and facilitating resilience to the challenges of climate change. Slum settlements can be improved by a number of strategies, including addressing the need for investment in infrastructure such as water pipes, sewers and drains, paved roads and paths, electricity, and the social services. The most successful upgrading involves a combination of community, resident organizations, and the government agencies acting to address these issues. That's all with this lecture. I hope you must have enjoyed it. Thank you.